The Many Strange Stories of Triangle Woman is one of the weirdest, most bizarre movies I've ever seen, as well as being one of the worst. Not only is it poorly made on a technical aspect, but the horrible acting and completely inept screenwriting is enough to make anyone stop watching it after 5 minutes. However, in an attempt to fully understand this fucking nightmare of a movie, I actually sat down and forced myself to watch the entire fucking thing. And dare I say it? It's just shit, really. I mean, none of the scenes really even have anything to do with each other, besides the fact that they have one shared element, which is this weird, emotionless lady that plays the titular character Triangle Woman, who I guess is supposed to be the quirky main character, but all she really does is just wander around and answer the phone with an incredibly stupid fucking catchphrase.
Hello, I'm fine. Hello, I'm fine.
I mean, it's even in the trailer.
Hello, I'm fine.
Somehow, during the filmmaking process for this movie, the drug-fueled writer/director decided that that was the funniest thing in the movie. When in reality, this movie is hilarious on its own, around that stupid fucking character.
Who is that man? Who is that man? Who is that man? Who is that man? Who?
You know what? Let's not give the director any credit for the humor in this movie, because the humor actually just stems from the awkward and creepily unsettling short stories that make up the plot to this film. The only reason that I even know that this movie exists is because I'm actually good friends with someone that was involved with the production of it. However, to help keep their anonymity and to help erase the horrifying tumor of an IMDb credit that this film is, I'm not gonna say who they are. Point is, they were on set to witness how fucking strange this production was, where the final product looks like some sort of heroin addict's fever dream. And considering how dull and boring the movie is around a few key unintentionally hilarious moments, I can't say that this will go down in history as one of the best worst films of all time, and honestly, it's gonna be forgotten as it already has been in the past decade since its release, but you know what? Fuck it. It's just a weird movie, and I'm just gonna review it. Let's do it.
Ask him if he likes lollipops.
Jesus Christ. Number 1. What the fuck is this movie? This film is the brainchild of a man named Chris Rensel, a man there's not very much information about on the internet. On his website it says he worked at Southwest Airlines before quitting to make this movie. Afterwards he moved to Portland and now he manages an Airbnb as well as volunteering for his local high school's drama department. And for some reason, his background is also recalled in the IMDb synopsis for the film, which is a really strange place to put that kind of information. I'm pretty sure that page is reserved specifically for talking about what all happens in the movie. But I guess since nothing really happens in this movie, he didn't have anything to put there, so he figured out this'll work. The only real thing that the synopsis says about the movie is that he was trying to make an experimental film by completely foregoing traditional storytelling structure, which I guess is something you can do if you're David Lynch or Charlie Kaufman, but this film is nothing close to those two's work.
You know, there are plenty of ways to pass the time while you wait.
Oh, really?
Sure. I know a lot of people that do this.
It's not even funny how inappropriate of a comparison that is to put in your fucking IMDb synopsis. This director style is more like Tommy Wiseau meets Harmony Korine meets the dumpster behind a bowling alley. According to the synopsis, which I'm pretty sure Chris just wrote himself, he got the inspiration for Triangle Woman after watching a woman nearly choke to death while trying to swallow a spatula. What the fuck? Really? That's how you're gonna start out the description to your movie. Your passion project. This is how you're gonna sell it to people? As it goes on, it talks about how the director was traumatized as a young boy after witnessing this event. But like the sociopath that he is, he turned it into a joke that he'd tell his friends in school, which is kind of a fucked up origin story. But I think it honestly kind of perfectly describes how abstract and fucked up this movie is. It goes on to say that he adapted Triangle Woman into a cartoon character that he'd draw on the board at school along with some of his jokes, and eventually thought that it would be the perfect thing to make into a movie. Okay, sure. The director quotes himself by saying, "I wanted to create something that was unique, bizarre, and totally original," which I guess is a good mindset to have when you're not a cokehead like this guy. Somehow this guy saved up enough money at his Southwest Airlines corporate job in order to fund this piece of shit, and quickly got to work auditioning people from all over the Dallas, Texas area, as well as casting some drug addicts that he happened to know. which is honestly kind of scary considering that some of the scenes in this movie utilize children actors who were probably scared shitless being on such a creepy set with a cokehead director and crossdressers left and right. What the actual fuck is this movie? Number 2. What the actual fuck is happening in this movie? Essentially, this movie does one of my least favorite things in cinema, which is when you take a whole bunch of different short films and you just put them together and expect the audience to give a fuck. If none of the things we see are related and nothing we see is entertaining or interesting, then we just don't give a fuck as an audience. If somebody sat me down in the theater and made me watch this movie, I would just fucking walk out. I don't even care if it was a free showing. Like, there's way better things that I can do with my time than watch this movie. And that's why I dedicated way too much time to making a YouTube review about it. Films are supposed to tell stories. And the only story this movie tells me is that the director thought that both himself and the concept of Triangle Woman were inherently funny, and that everyone that would see the movie would agree. But that doesn't tell you anything about the characters or their adventures, because nothing happens in the movie. It's not like Waking Life where nothing happens but a lot of really interesting talking points are discussed, all while maintaining a constantly shifting visual style. This movie has nothing like that. There's no gimmick or flashy cinematography or editing to distract you from the fact that what you're watching is just shit. It just has a bunch of random scenes shit onto a timeline. I mean, seriously, this movie looks like it was made by a bunch of fucking 14-year-olds. Let's just get to the part where I tell you how little actually happens in this movie. One of the first things that should be apparent about this movie is that its editing is completely terrible. And since there's no credited editor on the film, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that our beloved director was the one that cut it together. But he clearly didn't know what he was doing, because if he did, we wouldn't get awful scene transitions like this. Seriously? Come on. Isn't that usually the kind of thing you just cut to, you know, so it doesn't look like shit? Also, maybe you should have started your clip of Triangle Woman just a couple frames later so the audience isn't completely disoriented by your random dissolves. This music is very off-putting and sounds like it was purchased on a stock music site. Oh, would you look at that? The score was composed by none other than the writer, editor, and director, Chris Rinsel. Man, what an auteur this guy is. He's a real do-it-yourself kind of director. Look out, everyone. We got Robert Rodriguez over here. He's got like 8 credits, 1 movie. Man, he does it all. So the only thing that really happens in the opening credits is just Triangle Woman getting in her car and driving to a doctor's office. Damn, that woman's ass looks like a triangle. Yeah, I'd still fuck her. She walks into the office, signs in, and by that I mean she writes her name, which is Evelyn T. Wrangle? I guess I get the shitty play on words with T. Wrangle, but why Evelyn? Couldn't think of another pun? Then she just draws the Triangle Woman cartoon, which I guess we're supposed to believe is how this crazy bitch sees herself in her own mind. She strikes up a pointless conversation with another person sitting in the waiting room, and then does some random bullshit with her hands. For no real reason.
Nah, dog.
And then her dentist tells her to floss, which is really just kind of a pointless thing to put in the movie. I think somehow the director just knew this doctor, and they just put him in the movie. For some reason.
Steven Impounders, MD. That's my new porn name, dude.
Then it cuts to her making small talk with the lady at the front desk about how great her dentist is. Keep in mind that this is already 5 whole minutes into this movie. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when she breaks the 4th wall and launches headfirst into this dumpster fire of a movie. The first story in the movie is entitled Cutthroat. Starts out with this teenager riding a bicycle who stumbles upon what is clearly a pedophile. The bald guy asks him to grab something out of his car and then whacks him in the fucking head with a mag light, and most likely gives him a concussion. But you know what, that doesn't really matter, because it's a movie, and so he just drives him apparently all the way into the nighttime to his house, which really just looks like a hotel room. He lays the kid down and then proceeds to cut open his vocal cords. Gee, it sure is convenient that he's a doctor, or else he wouldn't know exactly what he was doing in the fucking shadows of his room without any anesthetic or proper sanitation. You know, this scene is really creepy, but mainly because of the fucking song playing in the background.
And when I'm with you, life it seems so easy. And how I wish we could stop time.
I'm pretty sure that this is one of the numerous songs written and recorded by the director for this movie. But regardless of its origins, it's really unfitting for the scene. Seriously, I'd take that fucking awful droning synth from the beginning over this shit. After he's done, he takes some pictures of the kid for his spank bank, I guess. Once the dumbass kid wakes up, he starts gasping for air, and instead of just helping him, the bald fucker sticks a recorder in his face and just records his cries for help. And then it randomly cuts to him walking into the room and executing the best shot in the movie.
What the fuck was that? Oh my god.
Shit. They dialed that
Damn.
motherfucker in.
That must have been his audition tape right there.
Unfortunately, it doesn't really have any real context other than the fact that he just goes to sleep. The next morning, he starts sampling the recording on his computer. Then they kick the creepiness of the scene up to 11 with this next shot.
So to help. Dinner?
Are we sure this isn't a gay porn?
Seriously, if I was this kid, I'd be ashamed that I ever worked on this movie, as I'm sure most of the casting crew are. Then the bald guy takes the kid back to the exact same spot he kidnapped him from, even though the kid knows exactly what he looks like and has probably memorized the guy's license plates by now. Yeah, dude, you really pulled that off perfectly. But before he leaves, he says one thing.
Listen, kid, what can I say? I'm a freak.
Which, I guess, is his, like, is that, like, the joke? Is that the punchline to the what? Yeah, man, it's time to masturbate. Then he plays his masterpiece, which is a pitch-shifted version of Jingle Bells. And I'm pretty sure that that's about the most disturbing fucking thing I've ever seen. And I used to watch The Wiggles when I was a kid.
Fruit salad? Yummy, yummy.
The movie then cuts to Triangle Woman, who's apparently just walking down the street while tripping balls on something, because she can vividly hear the disturbing song and asks a pedestrian if he can as well. And then she makes a really weird joke.
Is that a choir I hear singing? Well, if it is, do you mind if I have a cocktail?
And she pulls out a cocktail for exactly one shot, and then it's gone. Get it? It's funny because of editing. That's comedy gold, guys. Then she gives another one of her fantastic monologues to help transition to the next part of the movie. And let me tell you guys, it only gets worse from here.
Tall buildings were built to save space on the ground. But if that's the case, why are most tall buildings built on the ground?
That doesn't mean anything. That's just a retarded thing you just asked.
The next short story is probably one of the most nonsensical in the movie, and that's saying a lot. It starts in an office building where the secretaries are two twin sisters that say everything in unison, which, I mean, come on. We're not stupid, Chris. We know you stole that from The fucking Shining, but whatever. We're then introduced to two women talking in an office, but the first part of their conversation has music over it, so we're not really sure what they were talking about, but it doesn't matter because the girl being interviewed asks about the interviewer's neck. She tells her it's not important. Hey, just like this whole scene. Then the music comes back in for a whole whopping 3 seconds instead of just cutting back to the previous scene like a normal movie.
There was that song for like 5 seconds.
White man number one, who's sitting in the lobby, strikes up a conversation with the twins, and that's when the scene gets knocked into 12th gear, ladies and gentlemen, because it's time for the entrance of this guy.
Hello, Mr. Brombellarella.
Hello, Melissa.
So I guess his character's name is Mr. Bombellarella or something like that? I'm not really sure. They say it so quickly it's kind of hard to tell. This guy's clearly a friend of the director who just showed up on acid and they were like, alright, let's go with it. So he sits down in a chair and watches the walls move while white man number one is interviewed for something. But before they can actually get into the meeting, Mr. Bombellarella fuckface has to make some really weird joke.
Ask him if he likes lollipops.
Fuck off. So they don't even actually waste time writing any dialogue to show that they're in a professional business environment, because then they just cut right back to the lobby right before their fucking conversation starts.
The client we're interviewing for specifically needs litigation experience.
It doesn't actually matter what's
Yeah,
happening.
because it's just not
just cut away.
The twins notice Mr. Bombum Man tripping in place, so they're like, oh hey, let's help him sit down. And then, you know, I can't even explain what happens next. Just watch.
Aunt Augustine! Mr. Brombellarella's dead.
And thankfully it just ends there, so we don't have to endure it any longer. And wouldn't you know it, it's time for Triangle Woman again. She's so confused by the material she can't even get the name of the old dude's character right.
Mr. Brombellarella, Mr. Brombellarella, Mr. Brombellarella, Mr. Brombellarella.
Another side note, it's very painfully obvious that this little transitional scene is dubbed. Fortunately for us, it ends very quickly so we can move on to the greatest segment of any movie in the history of cinema. Damn dude, that's one funky hot beat! So there's a group of 4 kids that are rehearsing scenes for their upcoming play after school. Meanwhile, it keeps cutting back to this middle-aged man in a wheelchair who loves to type on his little laptop about his day. And if this guy wasn't perfectly cast, I don't know who else could have made it work. Tom Hanks, get the fuck out of here. So the whole joke in this short is that one of the pivotal moments of the scene is when this kid, whose name is apparently Joey, gets shoved by the other 2 kids in the scene. I wish I could tell you what the girl's there for. She just kind of stands there the whole time. The director tells them to practice their scenes on the walk home, and wouldn't you know it, this creepy fuck misconstrues it as bullying. He writes in his diary about the kid getting bullied.
I can't stand those kids picking on that one boy. It reminds me of when I was a kid and nobody picked me for sports. It really pisses me off. I want to run out there and rescue that poor kid. Why can't I?
In a wheelchair.
Why can't I?
Why the fuck do you think you can't run out there? And he makes a glorious call to arms.
I'm gonna wheel my ass out there. Man.
For the record, that is the best line in this whole movie. He goes and confronts them and they explain that they're just friends practicing a play.
Hi.
Hey. Hi.
Why is it that you two have to keep on picking on Joey? I live right there. And I've seen you for the last 3 days picking on him. I want you to stop picking on...
We're rehearsing a play.
Do what?
But since this dude is apparently the world's most sheltered man, he's unable to grasp the concept of a play and then writes about it in his diary. One day he sees them walking home without Joey and he leans out the window to ask them where he is.
Hey kids, where's Joey?
Who?
Joey!
I don't know a Joey. Do you?
Nope.
What are y'all saying? Are you kidding me?
Plot twist, they don't know a Joey. It's in this scene where the actor gives the performance of a lifetime.
Hey guys, why are you freaking messing with me? Don't fuck with me, goddammit! Why are you doing this to me? Why? Where's Joey? Where's Joey?
And as if that wasn't great enough, then comes the biggest twist of all. It's revealed that this guy was Joey the whole time! Whoa, dude! Whoa! Crazy! Ugh, fuck my life. For the next part, they thankfully don't waste time inserting Triangle Woman into the scene and just cut to this dude making a mayonnaise sandwich to a sick beat.
Oh shit. Here we go. Mayonnaise is my favorite sandwich condiment. Motherfucker.
While going through his morning routine, he keeps noticing his finger getting increasingly red for no real reason, so instead of just going to the doctor like a normal person, he asks 2 of his neighbors to give him a ride, and they both politely tell him to fuck off.
What I'm saying, Joe, is I've got a date with 2 lovely women. How can I pass that up, right?
Instead, he decides to drive himself, which makes you wonder why the fuck his neighbors were even in the movie in the first place.
Sorry, Joe.
Sorry, Joe, but you can go home. Get in your car and drive yourself. God damn it.
He drives to the doctor's office and the receptionist is just as much of an asshole to him. He starts feeling dizzy, so he goes to lie down, which is when he sees this poorly aged painting of Michelangelo's David. Do you get it? Get it? Cause fingers? Ah, fuck it. He tries to stand up, but then he just faints. After which, it's revealed that it was all a dream after getting his finger stuck in a really small bowling ball. So the guy that works at the bowling alley tries to pull the ball off, but ends up ripping the dude's finger off completely. Then it's revealed that the entire thing was just the black guy's dream the whole time. Wow, this short story wasn't completely pointless at all. And so I guess he just decides to turn on his favorite TV channel where none other than Triangle Woman shows up and tells the audience how to eat chicken nuggets like a chicken. Because that's supposed to be funny. Right? Was that confusing? Well, fuck you, it doesn't matter. It's time for the next short story. By this point, we're about halfway through the movie, and hold on to your hats, folks, because there's gonna be a whole lot of what the fuckery in this scene. This one starts out with 4 kids in a log cabin manipulating audio recordings by reversing them, and then trying to mimic the reversed audio to see if that audio backwards sounds normal. It's a really boring scene, and I honestly contemplated suicide while watching it. In the middle of their dialogue, it just cuts to this homeless woman, but then we don't see her again until she's walking somewhere at night. By the way, it's painfully obvious that it was just filmed during the day, but then they added a filter in post-production to make it look like nighttime. Just because they did it in old Western movies doesn't mean it actually looks good. So I guess the kids are just chilling with no parental supervision, which raises the stakes when this random creep walks by and stares into the house. One of the kids notices him in the front yard and they all make eye contact with him. And to make things worse, they do the one thing you should never do when there's a strange person outside your house, which is open the fucking door. I'm guessing this dude's done this before in real life because his creepy face in this scene is enough to give me nightmares.
Jesus.
He says there's a storm coming and asks if he can come in. And these kids have also apparently never heard of the concept of stranger danger, so like a couple of dumbasses, they let the guy inside. In an incredibly creepy manner, he starts talking about how his family rented that cabin once when he was a kid.
I rented this place one summer and had the time of my life. Anyway.
And then the kids just stare at him while he tries to give them advice about the storm. Riveting stuff, guys, I know. The crazy homeless woman walks onto their lawn as well, but for some reason she's singing a song about how she's a nice lady.
I'm a nice lady. I'm a nice lady.
Damn, look at that sick-ass CGI lightning, dude. Damn. They really shelled out the VFX budget for this movie. So the creepy fucker leaves and then runs into the homeless woman outside. Clearly this woman either has some real-life mental health issues or she's just such a dedicated actress that she pulls off an Oscar-worthy performance. He tells her she needs to get somewhere safe since there's a storm approaching, and all she responds with is the same sentence over and over.
Are you alright?
I'm a nice lady.
Ma'am, it's going to get nasty outside in a little bit.
She gets annoyed and she pulls out a Glock and shoots him in the fucking chest.
I'm a nice lady.
She starts screaming for help and the kids hear her and completely avoid all logic and instincts by running outside after hearing a gunshot to see who needs help. Hey, wouldn't the fucking gunshot be an indication that you should lock your doors and take cover? Nope, just run right out there, regardless if it's a trap. Fuck it, right? Fuck it. And for some insane reason, they invite her in after retrieving her gun. They again ask her what happened, and she responds in only the most natural way.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Dead man outside.
Dead man outside who?
I don't know. Who is that man? Who is that man? Who is that man? Who is that man?
And then, because fuck you, Triangle Woman shows up and says some more random bullshit.
I can understand this nice lady. I can relate to her, but then again, I can't.
Out of nowhere, the guy that was just shot in the heart pops in, and she tells him to leave. That's the scene. And then she just fucks off, and they resume their places.
Okay, everyone, resume places.
Whoa, that was weird. The nice lady tells them about how this used to be her cabin once. And then she just kind of keeps repeating that while they all go outside and join hands while they stare at the cabin.
This was my cabin once. This was my cabin once. This was my cabin once.
Jesus Christ, why did I commit to this? Oh my god. Thankfully, after all of that random nonsense, the scene moves on to the next one. Okay, this short story is actually pretty uneventful, so we're just gonna skim through it. Basically, there are 2 people that meet in an art gallery and they converse about it.
I bet he must have been on drugs.
Basically me watching this entire film.
Then they start getting to know each other, and since they have more chemistry than Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, they both decide to go out for coffee. The date apparently goes well because then they go back to her house where she lives with a sexier roommate. They invite him in, and I guess it's implied after he sees this guy in a frog costume in the backyard that they all have a threesome, where he has to wear the frog costume, and it just gets too weird for him because he just leaves, and that's it. Wasn't really a point to that one, it was just kind of a dumb skit. Seriously, it's like something you'd see on fucking Instagram now. The next story is one of the worst exhibitions of editing I've ever seen in a modern film. This mute woman goes into an elevator but panics when it gets stuck. Then people save her. They walk her down 40 flights of stairs before discovering that the exit door is locked, and so she starts to panic again. I honestly keep forgetting that this happens in the movie because there's not a single line of dialogue in the entire scene. All we get to hear is this really awful music. Can someone please explain to me why there are so many fucking shots of the janitor mopping the floor in this scene? I really just have no idea. On the other side of the door is the doctor from the first story, and it's implied that he also did the same thing to her throat. Not really sure what purpose this serves other than to reincorporate the first story.
And push me just that closer to the edge of suicide.
Triangle Woman shows up again, only to aggravate the viewer with her fucking catchphrase.
Hello, I'm fine.
Fuck you, Triangle Woman. Fuck you! The next short story is somehow the most bizarre out of them all. And yes, I do mean more than the nice lady story. It takes place at an apartment where everyone is gathered for some sort of event that's never explained. Everyone is cross-dressed, by the way, so all the women have mustaches and all the men are in dresses. This poor little kid in a dress asks his mom when the whole thing will be over and that he just wants his chocolate bunny. His mom tells him he can have a sip when the whole thing is over, but then it just cuts to him sipping on it anyway? What? He goes out onto the porch and complains about not having his chocolate bunny.
I want my chocolate bunny. I want my chocolate bunny.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, dude. She's tearing up that dance floor.
Wow.
Ooh, look at that. Look at those moves.
She's hella inspired.
Ooh, baby.
Then his mom welcomes everyone in the meeting before they get an announcement from some off-screen voice, and you just really don't give a fuck. And like the cult they clearly are, they recite some dumb thing together.
Happy greetings, everyone, everyone. Happy greetings, let's have fun.
And the kid gives this really menacing look, and I have absolutely no idea why. Triangle Woman shows up one more time to start the final story to this movie, which is the most agonizing of them all. The last story begins with this lady coming to her mother's house to check on her. It's then revealed through the slowest possible dialogue that her mother has a condition that makes her say every word in every sentence in reverse order.
Oh, came you glad so I'm...
It goes on for way too long until she reveals that she's leaving all her money to an organization that understands her condition and helps people who suffer the same thing. And this really upsets her daughter.
Are you serious?
And she's gone.
That's the last thing you ever said to her. Are you fucking kidding me, Mom?
Thank Christ we don't have to listen to that fucking droning anymore. Then her caretaker explains how she's fascinated by this stupid, that's not a word. Then her caretaker explains how she's fascinated by this stupid backwards language. So her in-house doctor arrives and attempts to steal the mom's body. He maces the daughter and the caretaker and bumps the old lady's head on the doorframe. And then, because movie, she miraculously returns to life and starts dancing. Triangle Woman shows up one last time to say some dumb shit, and then the movie ends after 90 agonizing minutes. So there you have it. That's the many strange stories of Triangle Woman. Bunch of random shit thrown into a movie directed by an insane person. I shouldn't say that. Chris, if you're out there, don't feel down because I shit all over your movie. Everyone has that one big failure in their life that they try to move on from, and clearly you have. That all being said, your movie fucking sucks, dude. And I will say you succeeded at making everyone that watches the movie incredibly uncomfortable. If that was your goal, then, kudos. Regardless, this movie is one long mess, and the overabundance of shitty music over every scene does not save it. The only thing I really learned from watching this movie is that parents will put put their kids in anything to make money. And that's the saddest part of all of this. All the people involved with this film, especially the children, probably try to block this movie out of their minds. And you know what? I think I'm gonna join them. Please, whatever you do not pay money to watch this movie. Avoid it at all costs. And remember, it's not the fall that kills you when you jump off a bridge. It's the impact when you hit the ground. Not really sure what that had to do with this movie, but fuck it.